Hello again, my dudes, this is Kadim and welcome back to the channel. I bring you another Elden Ring DLC weapons build video. This time, and following my previous build video, we're gonna go real bear claws. In my previous build video I used the beast claws, and in this time we'll be using the red bear's claw. Comparing to the previous build video, I consider this to be an inferior claw build, but talking about it, let's acknowledge why that's the case. The red bear claws cannot be infused with anything, and you cannot change its ashes of war. By definition, it is what it is, and you can change it. This has a strength scaling of B, so you want to dump everything into strength, but at the same time you want to be light load, so you want to make sure that by using this setup and the equipment that I have, you have endurance at 39, so you can have light load and you can fast roll and you can be very agile. Again, we're using the Frenzied Flame Seal, so we can cast our Bear Communion incantations, as you can see in the bottom right corner. And these incantations are going to be slightly boosted with the Pelt of Ralva, which you can read in the description. Enhances incantations is what is jokingly called the Bear Communion. So, for the rest of the set, we're using the Iron Rivet set, and the talismans as from the previous build: Millicent's Prosthesis, Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, Shard of Alexander, and the Erdtree's Favor. This all boosts the attack. The more you attack, the more damage you will do, and this is for our Ashes of War with the Bear Claws. Now, other things you want to have with you is Exalted Flesh, which temporarily boosts physical attack, and in the Flask of Wondrous Physic, you want to have Blood-Sucking Cracked Tear, which temporarily increases attack power while draining your HP, so use this wisely, and the Thorny Cracked Tear, which temporarily boosts excessive attack power, so it will just add up to the Rotten Winged Sword and the Millicent's Prosthesis. Now, the claws themselves, compared to the Beast Claws, I consider them to be inferior in the sense that, first, you cannot change the Ashes of War. They come with what they come. And also the Ashes of War of the Red Bears are, in my opinion, inferior to that what you can get with the Beast Claws. The range of this thing is actually very limited. It's just pretty much in front of you. There's no motion forward. It's terrible for roll catching. It will only work if the opponent rolls towards you. If they roll away, you can't reach them. The range is terrible. The running attacks with the R2 is pretty much the same as the Beast Claws, although this one has a way more weird attacking pattern, because it doesn't really attack forward. It gives you the feeling that it attacks sideways, and you will often miss the target. The running R1, it's actually a little bit better because it jumps forward and it combos to another setup of slashes forward, so you progress forward with the R1s. The R2s are not that great compared to the previous one, although the second R2 following the first one can be useful for roll catching people. One thing I want to mention as well is the spells. You can see I'm using the Roar of Regalia, the Beast Claw, the Bestial Sling, the Stone of Kurag, and the Bestial Vitality. I mainly use this for show off, or when I'm close enough to kill the opponents in the arena and they just started wasting time or trying to run away. I try to use them combined with the claws to close and finish the match. The other thing I want to say is, because the Red Bear Claw's Ashes of War cannot be changed, its damage is going to always be pure physical. You have a blood loss buildup of 45, and this will proc every 5 hits maybe, depending on the enemy's resistances. But compared again to the Beast Claws, I still consider this to be an inferior option. Yes, each hit of the Red Bears will do more damage. By comparison, you can tell the difference, that every time you hit something, it will do more damage per hit. But the fact that you attack slower and there's no frostbite or any other form of damage besides the physical, it can be a little bit of a problem, especially if you're fighting someone with a shield. They can easily just block all your damage and you won't go past it. Yes, you will get the blood loss, but that's basically going to be your only source of damage when using this build. The Ashes of War also, as I said, because you cannot change it and the reach of this thing is quite limited, it's also not a very good option compared to what you can get with the Beast Claws. with the Beast Claws Ashes of War, both available give you sort of a lunge forward, which is very useful to cover distance, especially if you combine it with the jumping R2 and then you go with the Ashes of War of the Beast Claws. You cover even further distance, and it's amazing for roll catching. It does a tremendous amount of damage, a tremendous amount of bleed, and also frostbite if you use with the cold version, just like I did in my previous build video. Now, as for looks, I actually do like the look of this build. Very fashion. It makes you look like an actual bear. It's very fun to use. When you use the Roar of Regalia, it's actually funny because it gives you this massive, yeah, bear head, which is very stylish, especially if you're in the arena, you win the duo and you just do that as in a form of celebration. It looks actually quite cool. But enough said about the build. Let's talk about the PvE examples. I'm gonna kill the obvious two examples that I do in all my build videos, and then I'll give you some examples of duels in the PvP arena. Again, I just want to reinforce the idea that comparing to the Beast Claws build, this is an inferior Claws build in my honest opinion, so I would recommend you guys watch the Beast Claws build video and compare it with yourselves and watch the results. Again, for those who are new to the channel, I truly appreciate if you could drop a sub. It really helps the channel grow, and I truly appreciate your support. To my normal subscribers and recurrent visitors, thank you so much for watching. But now let's take a look at those examples. Let's start with the typical PvE examples. The Black Knight is always the first victim. We consume some Exalted Flesh. The Mimic is already there to stand by. Flask of Wondrous Physic as soon as you get close enough. And then you just want to dodge the first attack, and then immediately spam the Ashes of War. As you can see, it does a nice damage to it, and it does proc the Millennial Talismans and the Rotten Talisman, but still the range is not that great compared to the Beast Claws. Now, for the Chief Blood Fiend, again, we walk in through the fog. I actually died in a previous fight because it was a very long one, and I like it to be nice and quick. So we summon the Mimic, we boost our damage with the Exalted Flesh. As you can see, my Mimic is actually doing quite a nice amount of damage. Then we boost with the Physic, jumping R2, and then you just smash the Ashes of War button, and it's an easy win as well. But let's go to that what I actually prefer as an example. It's when fighting other people in the arena. This guy is actually absent, but I don't mind, I will wait. Compared to the Beast Claws, the fact that this one has a not so good range with the Ashes of War, it's a downgrade in my opinion. For everything else, the weapon is actually quite nice. The amount of damage you do per hit is significant. Look at that much damage. Simple attacks go up to 700 damage. A simple running R2 does more than 700 damage. It's insane. So every time it hits better and does more damage. The problem is the reach and the range of the Ashes of War. If not for that, this would be by comparison a much better version of the Beast Claws. Unfortunately, because you can't change, this is what it is. I can't say I dislike this, it's not the case. It's just when comparing to my previous Beast Claw build video, I find this to be a less good option. But let's talk about the fight itself. As you can see, a simple running R2 did nearly 600 damage. It only hits twice and it does a nice damage. Look there, another 700, and then you just try to get them with the R1s. Because of the range not being as great, you are a bit limited. So this guy using that weapon two-handed makes it a bit hard to get close by because of the hyper armor. As you just saw, I tried a charged R2, but as you saw, the movement is not exactly forward when you charge the R2. It's more side to side, and that gives it a weird range. You have to try to play with that, and it's not always easy, not always efficient. Now, this guy decided to attack me. I do a little teabag trolling. Well, it is what it is. If you can do that, why can't I do what I want just to make fun of it? Now, a simple hit does about 160 damage. The second does 300 damage, which is quite nice. But then he's using the Smith script weapons, which can be a bit tricky because they have range to them, and I have absolutely no range with this thing. As you just saw, he does hit me there with a trade, with a big hammer. Didn't do a significant amount of damage, but again, did you see that charge R2? It's got a weird side-to-side attack animation. I wish it was more lunging forward than lunging side-to-side. It makes it very weird and very hard to actually connect, and it's very easy to dodge roll away from. Although, however, that one did connect because my opponent was too close to me. He's nearly dead. I tried to finish the job with a Bestial Sling, but he's just dodging and tried to get close to me so he can R1 me to the face. So I just finished the job with the one claw I had equipped. Of course, as always, don't forget the roar for the winning celebration. Again, Exalted Flash is the only thing you really want to use as a buff for this build. You can use other things like the Lifting Aromatic, but I don't find the need to do so. I'm fighting a guy using the backhands here, lightning version. I'm just expecting the blind spot spam to start, which is not the case, at least not at first. So we're trying to get the punishment going. He's trying to go for the backstab raviolis. I'm being lucky enough to dodge most of them. This jumping forward R2 should have been a trade. It didn't connect, but as you just saw, the charged R2 does around 600 damage to this guy, so it does a nice amount of damage. It's just the attack being side to side makes it very weird. Again, another fight, another example. I'm just jumping to say hi. I rather do that than going to the gestures, because the gestures, I don't have the gestures equipped. I always forget to do that. We got a nice Pyromancer going. He actually does quite a big chunk of damage if he hits me with that thing, which I'm expecting to happen at any point in time. But as long as I am staying close enough to him and I can punish him. But as you just saw, he hits me once and half my HP is completely gone. So I have to try to stay on top of him, give him no room to cast his Pyromancies. So there I am, just trying to stay offensive, and I finally finish the job. GG, bro. Now, we got ourselves someone meaty, not to call it another name, because that guy is chunky. My belief straight away is that if I go to trade with this guy, I'm gonna lose every time. He must have a ton of poise, and then he's also using the guard break mechanic, but I managed to break his guard. Not the guard break, he's using the guard counter, I'm sorry. I am the one that did the guard break. Managed to punish him, did a nice chunk of damage, nothing major. That's the thing about this weapon, it will never do upwards of 1000 damage. No hits from this will do upwards of 1000 damage unless you hit with the Ashes of War, and all 3 hits must connect for you to achieve such numbers. Unfortunately, that's one of the problems that I found with this build, is that on very, very rare occasions I managed to connect 2 or 3 Ash of War hits. The one hit, yes, it can happen, but more often than not the other 2 always miss the target. I tried to fool him into charging me, but he didn't attack because I was planning to punish him with the Ashes of War. But as you can see, I'm trying to get him to roll towards me to try to punish him with the Ashes of War. It's not working, he's not falling for the bait. So props to you, well done. He manages to hit another one with a massive mace. I actually, by the way, have a build using that mace and I absolutely love it. Now here we are staying aggressive, and I managed to catch him with the roll catch with the R2. GG, brother. For the next example, we are finding ourselves someone with a bleed build, which is quite obvious. I think he's going for like some thematic samurai build because he's using the hat and the big katana. I'm trying to punish his casts just to kind of tell him to stop, because I would rather go for a fist fight. I'm a fist build. My spells don't really do that much damage. They do a nice chunk of damage, about 100 per hit, but nothing major. And I managed to just ravage this guy because he tried to stand and just counter me, and I just managed to land all the hits. His sword was much slower than my claws. Now, fighting this guy, I gotta say, I didn't really understand what his game was. He was just spamming Ashes of War with both his weapons. That's all he did. Which is funny, I mean, it fits your style, but it just makes it so easy for me to fight if all you do is spam these two Ashes of War. They are so easy to dodge. So I get to punish this guy frequently. I get him with the roll catches. He's gonna try another Ash of War. I don't think he's understanding that that's a terrible idea. I tried the charge R2, but I missed. So I then go and finish the job with another charge 2 at a closer range, and the roar for the celebration. GG, brother. GG. Good fight. Again, another example. Use the Exalted Flash. Don't forget, this guy is using the big Fire Knight Greatsword, which is an amazing weapon, but 2 hits did 700 damage. I tried the charge. It actually connected this time. He goes with his Ash of War. He actually managed to hit me with that trade. Fortunately, I got the win, but a single hit claimed more than half my HP. That sword is just scary. Now, for another example, I gotta say, I actually was AFK, and I just want to show that whoever this guy is, fair play. He didn't attack me straight away. I appreciate it. So now I'm ready for the fight. He's actually using the sword lance, which is an amazing strength scaling weapon. It does a tremendous amount of damage. The weapon is actually currently bugged. It is allowing you to land an R1 after a charged R2. It's kind of comboing, and it's almost like a true combo, but I think it's bugged. It might get fixed at some point, but I might make a build video with it as well. I'm yet to figure this one out. Anyways, time for another example. This guy is just waving goodbye. I'm gonna do the typical jumping to say hello, my friend. There we go, ready for the fight. This is going to be a bit of a long one. He's using the Lamina, which has an amazing Ash of War, which allows you to kind of dodge the attacks and try to play counter. It's not as quick as the blind spot. Of course, the blind spot is a very punishing counter method because it dodges and immediately punishes the opponent. This one is a bit slower, and it rarely connects all the 4 hits. I'm yet to see this weapon connect all the hits. I used it myself with my bow build, but again, the connection of the hits is not great. I managed to punish him with a jumping R2. As you just saw, the Ashes of War has absolutely no reach. I was pretty much in front of him, and I still didn't manage to hit him. So I'm gonna have to try to go with a charged R2. It managed to connect, and then another charged, half-charged R2 for the win. GG, brother, well played. Again, another example. Guy is waving. I'm gonna just do the Exalted Flash. I forgot to jump to say hello. My apologies. He's using the Milady weapon, which is a nice weapon with a nice move set. Gives you that Jedi look. Although it's quite easy to dodge if you know the move set. It becomes a bit easier to know where it is that you can punish his attacks. I had a feeling he would go for the R2 after. Unfortunately, my charged R2, as I just said, because it's such a weird side-to-side slashing movement, even when I was just in front of him, I managed to miss. The Ashes of War, again, I connected one of the hits out of 3, which is not great. Comparing to the Beast Claws with the Ashes of War you can get, still, I believe it's an inferior option, but still a fun build to use. And I would recommend everyone to try it. It's fun. Now, I managed to just roll around him and punish him with the jumping R2. Another fight. This guy is actually not such heavy armor. He's got nice defenses, but most importantly, he's got those 2 big maces, which give him a big chunk of hyper armor if he's attacking me. I will not be able to interrupt him. So I have to play carefully. The jumping attacks are actually scary with those things. If they hit, they do a stupid amount of damage. He's got the whip out, which is appropriate considering I'm a bear and he's trying to whip me. That's what we call animal cruelty, my friend. Don't do that. YouTube doesn't like those things. Now, again, he's really on the aggressive with the whip. He manages to whip me in the face, which I was laughing about because I gotta say, it's a very appropriate fight. That guy's got a whip and I'm a bear. It's a bit of a zoo stuff. He's just punishing for being a bad bear. I managed to do the jumping R2 in between his moves, but then I got hit on my second attempt. Didn't manage the roll catch, but the fight is close to an end. He's pretty much not really timing his attacks as well. He's just trying to catch me when I do the jumping forward. As you can see, he just delayed his hit, hoping I would jump, so I punished him by countering and delaying my jump as well. Another fight, as an example, fighting this guy with the Dragon Hunter Great Katana, one of my favorite weapons of the DLC, gotta be honest, and apparently one of the viewers' favorites, because if it's one of my build videos with the highest views for Elden Ring build videos, I thank you all for that. It's a very funny weapon. I actually had a tremendous amount of fun with this thing. The move set can be a bit weird, and the Ashes of War doesn't always hit because it's got a weird tempo to it, and it's very easy to punish, just like I did with the rolling forward and the double R2 hits. Another example, we're getting close to the end of the video. I was just jumping to say hello. This was the second time I was fighting this guy. He decided to go fists on me, which was a funny thing to do. Kind of have the thematic man versus beast fist fight. He was using Godfrey's savagery roars, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. He's got the great sword of solitude, and he's also using the kicks and punches. I managed to dodge roll, and then I immediately jumped to his face with the R2s and managed to punish him. But again, as you just saw, the Ashes of War are not really viable for such fights. Unless he's right glued to me, they're not that great. This is going to be a quick one. The moment the fight started, this guy immediately spammed incantations, which is fine with me, but I will just immediately punish them. He's got a nice sword to it. I think he's trying to go with a Mikola style, Mikola cosplay, because of the casting of the faith incantations and the way he's dressed and all the build up to his attacks. It gives it a Mikola vibe, which is funny, and I appreciate that kind of thing. One more example, there's not that many left. Again, Sword of Damnation, one of my absolute favorites. I absolutely love the build I made with an Ananias torch. The charge there was a big mistake. I am actually quite familiar with the timing and distance of that weapon, as I used it myself for such a long time. So I'm pretty able to punish him and counter him. Most people using this weapon, I gotta say, they are using it wrong. They are trying to land the Ashes of War out of nowhere. That's not how you should try to use that Ashes of War. You should try to R1 and then use the Ash of War after you connect the R1. You shouldn't just use it like that, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to miss. Especially if you are talking about fighting someone with my knowledge of the weapon. I know what it does, so I know how to best avoid it. He's trying the jumping R1s and then the normal R1s, but he's never going to connect those, because again, he tries the Ashes of War one more time. I try to punish him. It's not always easy to get the right tempo to roll catch. I actually missed that dodge there. I just pressed, instead of pressing the button, I pressed the side of my controller, which was weird. But the fight is coming to a close. He's gonna try his Ashes of War one more time. I tried the charge dart too to see if I could get the distance, but again, because it's a side-to-side attack, it's such a weird way to try to combine it with anything. But again, I got the running R2 for the win, and of course the roar for the celebration. This is going to be the last example. This was actually my very first duel using this build with this weapon, which was actually quite fun. And I'll let you guys watch it. For those who are new to the channel, I remind you, please subscribe. It really helps me. For those who are returning, I truly appreciate your continuous support, and I hope to see you in the next build video as well. Leave a like, share the build with your Elden Ring friends. That also helps the channel. Um, this is Kadima. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you in the next one. And always feel free to leave a comment or ask any questions in the comment section down below. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Cheerio! Celebratory roar.